Spice of Life, and the organization that is hosting it is called Wingz of Lyfe. For the people, by the people, of the people, we are the voice of the people on nutrition, health, exercise, dis-ease, because there is no, in my opinion, all disease has one origin and different manifestations, and so we're just here to educate people and to keep people informed and empower the community and support the community and things like that. So I appreciate you all coming out, and I appreciate you all supporting our events and supporting our speakers up here. So just a slight round of applause for you all for showing up. Thank you. And so this event the purpose of this program is to provide students with a feasible means to incorporate healthier practices and give general information on how to sustain those practices. And it will provide you with a list of resources, and it will also serve as a way to reinforce the Wingz of Lyfe mission. And so let me introduce myself. My name is Ruby Lee. I am the founder of Wingz of Lyfe. So thank you all. We have our lovely board members here with us. We have Ms. Ashley, which is our treasurer. We have the rest of them who stepped out, but Shardera, which is our vice president, Belinda, which is our secretary, and Tispora, which is our community service chair. And so without further ado, our panelists, and we shall begin with Brother Tunez. Brother Tunez is an alternative reporter for Each One DMV. He is involved in several different organizations that are focused on the liberation of the people. He also runs an open mic at Critical Lounge, so feel free to stop by that and check it out. Show love, always good to support. And then next we have Dr. Patterson. And Dr. Patterson is a list of things, a man of many talents. He is a doctor of naturopathy, an acupuncture detox specialist, a certified addictions counselor, level 2 supervisor, a Reiki, am I pronouncing that correctly? A Reiki master level 3, health and energy balancing, a holistic substance abuse educator and counselor, a holistic HIV AIDS educator and counselor, and a holistic community and family empowerment motivational speaker. And then next we have Chef Khepra, which I hope many of you have heard about because he has one of lovely business over on 8th Street that you all should take a look at. He is a raw food chef at Khepra's raw food juice bar in DC, like I said, on 8th Street. And his mission is to provide living food and juice as well as information and education through all various mediums like books, DVDs, classes, social networking to help you succeed living your best life possible. So feel free to grab some of his literature that is outside on the table. And definitely stop by as well. And then next we have Ms. Sylvia Robinson. She is from the ECAC, which is across the street from the School of Business on Euclid. So if you haven't gotten familiar with that, please do so. They run one of the longest running open mic sessions called Spit That. I think it's every Thursday. So you guys should definitely come out to that, support the community, especially support your local, Howard community, people that are right around here. But Ms. Robinson is the executive director of the Emergence Community Arts Collective and is the founder and visionary of its mission to empower the human spirit and promote community development through positive social and civic interaction. Returning to the neighborhood she was raised in, and she combined her experience for profit and nonprofit management, cultural arts, martial arts, and drug and alcohol counseling to create a new model of community engagement. And that is just a small section of what she does. Like I said, I do definitely hope you become familiar with the ECAC and stop by for the various different classes that they have over there. And then, least but definitely not last, we have Dr. Martina Washington. From her website, the New Life Wellness Center, she says that your decision to follow a healthy lifestyle is perhaps the most important choice you will ever make. Wellness and prevention are keys to your good health. That's why we offer the best health and wellness services. At the New Life Wellness Center, we believe that the people should look and feel great to enjoy optimal health for a lifetime. Unfortunately, many people compromise their health unknowingly. We try to educate as well as treat our clients with a holistic approach for their well-being. New Life Wellness Center offers a highly personalized approach to healthcare. This includes supporting our patients through partnership and education, teaching people a better understanding of nature's signs of illnesses. Take hold of your health and live well. Your healthy lifestyle starts here. So definitely become familiar, if you have not already, with her center as well. And we can get a round of applause for our panelists. And so before we begin questions, I just want to say I would like this to be a sort of dialogue. So if you all have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. And we want to make you incorporate your opinions and your questions into this as much as we want to hear the knowledge of our speakers up here as well. So one of the things I want to read you, this is something that when I was a senior in high school, I was awarded a scholarship. And someone was the motivational speaker that was there, happened to have this autobiography, and she read it out loud. And I thought it was one of the most amazing things, one of the most amazing books that I had ever read. And it really impacted my life. And so I'd like to share that with you all just as a precursor to this. And it says, Chapter 1, I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It is my fault. It takes me forever to find my way out. Chapter 2, I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall again. I can't believe I'm in the same place. But it isn't my fault. It still takes me a long time to get out. Chapter 3, I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It's my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4, I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5, I walk down another street. And my reason for reading this to you all is because it is one thing to live a lifestyle, it is another thing to choose the lifestyle that you live. And so I feel like it's just never too late to begin the first day of the rest of your lives. And so I hope you all enjoyed that, and I hope it affected you as much as it affects me. And you feel that you can take charge of your life if you don't feel so already, or you can continue to progress your life in the direction that you choose to. This is Tai Chi, and just the origins of Tai Chi.
Okay, hi, good evening, everyone. Good evening. Okay, so Tai Chi is a martial art form, although today it's not so much practiced as martial art. It's more a health. It's more for health. You'll see it practiced sometimes in the parks. It's done very slowly. Involves a lot of deep breathing, meditative movements, and its origins were very martial. But it was discovered that in addition to learning the hard moves, punches and kicks, that there was a way to generate your internal storehouse of energy known as your chi and your dantian, which is just inside of the navel. And so there was a way to generate this, but in order to do that, one needed to concentrate and slow the body and the movements down in order to incorporate that into the martial movements. And so that practice, although it started out with martial intentions, became, the health benefits became known. And so by the time it got to this country, then it was really done more for health reasons. But basically it's about harnessing your chi, your storehouse of energy that you have in the body, and allowing it to flow through the body and outward. And it really, although it's a physical practice, it really is about slowing down and enhancing your mind, body, your spirit, and working in a number of ways. Basically, you're refocusing your energies.
So how exactly does a refocus of energy benefit their health?
Well, in order to, and let me just preface by saying that I'm speaking to you more as from my own personal experience as opposed to as a Tai Chi scholar. But for me, one of the things that I find as a big issue today is the fact that we are so sped up and unfocused or focused outside of ourselves. And that is a big problem that I see in people, is that we are not able to gather ourselves and understand who we are and where our energy is coming from. One thing about me that a lot of people will laugh at, I don't watch television, I don't have a cell phone.
I think that's great.
There are a lot of things that I think are pulling people away from who they are and what they think and what they feel. So it's a way of getting back to who you are inside what are your natural rhythms, how do you breathe, how is your breath energizing your body, how do you feel. I think sometimes we really don't know in any given moment of the day how we actually feel because we're so busy doing other things and so focused on things outside of ourselves. So for me, it's about pulling all of our attention back inward and noticing who we are, what we feel, and then, in the out-breath kind of expressing that in the world.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point that you bring up about breathing because I think a lot of people don't realize that they're not breathing correctly. And I feel like Tai Chi is one of those art forms that helps you understand that the breath that you take directly relates to how good you feel and how energized your cells are and things like that.
Yeah, and the practice itself takes a little discipline because you have to really start to see underneath the layers of still your mind, quiet yourself. And it doesn't have to be Tai Chi. You can do any type of meditative practice where you just maybe sit for 20 minutes a day in quiet space and gather yourself, focus on inside who you are, how you're feeling, quiet yourself. And that will have the benefit of just allowing your natural rhythm to kind of have some space, allowing space for yourself.
I want to know what each of you feel is the most important aspect relating to health and knowing your body and your breathing and things like that, and how that relates to just being energized and maximizing your energy.
All right, I think so. Well, initially you have to give your body exactly what it needs to survive on a day-to-day basis based upon what your specific body needs. Just taking just say for instance you want to cut corners, you want to take a multivitamin, you still have to, that's giving a basic general assumption of what the average person's body needs. And so somebody may be vitamin D deficient, but taking a regular multivitamin is not going to compensate for that vitamin D that particular person needs as opposed to another person who may be vitamin B deficient or vitamin K deficient or vitamin A. It's about exactly what your particular body needs. So yes, once again, it is knowing thyself and knowing exactly what disease affects you and what exactly what you want help in to make your body go. Thanks.
Let me just add a little bit. When you think about a health condition and you think about how to deal with an imbalance, people call it a sickness, they call it an illness, they call it a disease. I don't use none of those languages because it has to do with a self-imposed process. So in my 40 years of working as a holistic health practitioner, 99.9% of all the clients that I've seen have done it to themselves. Even the individuals who come in and talk about genetics, well, it got passed down through the family. It runs in my family. So I tell them to catch them. Beat him up, stomp him, roll a car over top of him, kick him out of your family. In other words, do not take the same roads, do not drive the same vehicles, don't eat the same food, don't live the same lifestyle. So when you talk about what to do and how to look at health, there's no separation. As she stated, what are the components? No, it's all one piece. So if we separate the whole concept of treating the body from treating the mind, then we're off. If we separate the concept of treating the mind from taking care of the spirit, then we're off. So if we talk about the holistic concept, people usually say body, mind, spirit, so they put the physical first. That's the way society has dubbed that for us. They want us to attach and deal with all this physical realm down here. But when you talk about healing in any and everything else as it relates to existence, spirit first, am I right?
Right.
Hello?
Right.
Hello out there. Is the spirit first? Then it comes to the mind. then to the body. But what we leave out, and I was so proud of what you guys are doing when I went to the website and saw how they noted community and environment. So if I have high blood pressure and I deal with my spirit and I meditate and I do some Tai Chi and I do a little yoga and I do some breathing and I take my vitamins, my pressure's gonna come down, yay? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, come on, black folk. You know, so I'm working on my spirit. So then I'm worried about my issue because I don't know what to expect from this so-called health problem that I have. So now I'm going to educate myself. I'm going to listen to Khepra, and I'm going to listen to my sister Martina, and I'm going to gather more information, become more secure with my decisions about dealing with this health condition and imbalance that I have. Now I'm feeling okay, and I'm not worried, and I'm not anxious. Y'all with me?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got the spirit, that calmed the pressure down. We got the education, now I know what to do. I ain't worried about this thing because I know what to take, I know where to go, and blah, 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 blah. So now I'm becoming more empowered, which is what holistic health is all about. Now I can determine what I'm going to do with my body because I got the information. Oh, vegetarian diet. Oh, alkaline water. Oh, go on over to Kepra's and get some of that raw food. Go over to the sister over at the space on Euclid and get into that Tai Chi class. Go over and see Martina and get a little colonic, you know, whatever the case may be, and go see my brother, get some nutritional support. Go see Dr. Kokayi and get a health assessment and get some herbs and a little acupuncture. Now we got the body thing covered. Yay, Bo?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Okay, so we got the spirit calm, we got the mind educated, we got the body worked on. But when I go home with my high blood pressure, I got a wife that nags me. So does my pressure go back up?
Yes.
Okay, so now we clear. There's no separation. If I go to my job and my job is such, well, I either got to get a divorce, get a new job, start my own business, go to counseling. I got to do something to deal with my environment, my community. I'm an alcoholic. So now I'm going to NA meetings. I'm dealing with some spiritual stuff. I'm dealing with some mental stuff. I'm detoxing over here. But I go home and everybody's still drinking. I walk through my neighborhood in the African American community. There's a liquor store in every corner in my community. So what am I doing politically about that? You see what I'm saying? That I can feel good about and raise my self-esteem up. So when we talk about addressing any health problem, it has to be done from a holistic perspective that's spelled with a W, not the H.
Thank you.
No, go ahead.
Just rolling right along. I just wanted, since we were speaking about holistic and all-encompassing, basically, I wanted to get on food and the food of nowadays. And I just wanted to, if anyone could speak on what is the difference between a genetically modified organism and if that is considered a holistic product for us to eat, and if not, then can you elaborate on that?
Okay. All right. What was your name again?
Brother Tunez.
Brother Tunez. Me and Brother Tunez were actually, he asked me this question actually before we started, and I think that, you know, what I was telling him, what I was sharing with him is basically we gotta start with whole foods, and I know that sounds maybe a little cliche, but the thing is that we have to get away from processed foods, meaning foods, you know, anything you buy in a bag, if it's in a bag, a box, or a can, it's likely, or a jar, it's been processed. And, you know, and again, if it got a bunch of ingredients, you know, especially things that you can't pronounce the first time, you know, it's likely that it's GMO. So the thing is that if we start with whole foods, you know, again, that first aisle in the supermarket, you know, whether
One
it's
aisle.
right, the one aisle, you know, you reduce the chances dramatically of eating genetically modified food. Now you can go into Whole Foods, the actual, you know, the mega organic supermarket, and buy genetically modified produce. So you have to be educated. The thing is that you got 3 options when you go into Whole Foods or any market. You got organic, of course, and usually the number will start with a 9. You got conventional, that will start with a 4. And then you have genetically modified, which will start with a 3. Now, very quickly, in terms of genetically modified food, I think it's important to understand that this is food, you know, again, as I was telling him, you know, what big businesses is doing, corporation is moving food from, you know, when we think of food and where it's grown, we think what? A farm. So we're talking from food to farm to lab. You know, so whether it's meat, whatever, you know, and I was also sharing, you know, I was a student here. I attended here. I was an engineering student, and representative from Kraft Foods was coming to recruit engineers, you know, to engineer food. So again, you know, if you're eating these and again, you find these things in boxes and you know, in those middle aisles, which is the aisles you really want to limit your activity from. Because we as consumers, we have a say. We have that power. We have our money. That's how we vote. You know, it's not in the ballot. It's how you spend your money. Okay, so as a consumer, really, there's 3 places that you want to, you know, purchase most of your food. The first place is really your farmer's market. So if you go into your farmer's market, even if it's, you know, I mean, 100% of the food there is going to be, or I should say 99% is going to be pretty much righteous. You have local, you know, farmers who are putting love and energy. They probably pick the food either that day or the day before. That's going to be far better than any organic food that was grown in Mexico or California or even in Europe, which is where a lot of our organic food is coming from. So you really want to start at your farmer's market. The second place, of course, is your health food store, and then the third place is your international market. Now, I don't know if any of you have any Caribbean background or anything of that nature, but when you go to, whether it could be Caribbean, it could be Asian, it could be all of the above. Basically, when you go in the international market, they have a lot of exotic foods that you want to get familiar with, especially exotic fruits. I'm an exotic fruit connoisseur, you know. So you know, things like lychee and jackfruit and mangosteen, and these are like fruits, durian. These are fruits that I make meals out of, you know, and most people don't know. You know, they're not even aware of what these foods are. So, you know, so again, you will find these kinds of things at your international market.
And as people, as citizens of the city, I think it's important that we get educated and support these local businesses and these local, you know, organizations that are actually trying to get out there and trying to bring the organic produce to you from your home. And, you know, they can't survive without us. And I think that's an important thing to take into consideration. There's also a farm right down the street from us called Common Good City Farm that is always accepting volunteers from Howard students and from people in general. What was the question?
Yeah, I just wanted to, Khepra just ended off talking about the process of genetically modified foods and how they use a virus. I'm so glad Dr. Heru's on the panel. He's a biochemist?
Electrical engineer and chemist.
Okay. Maybe you can break down a little bit more, expound on the process of making a genetically modified organism so that everyone understands exactly what goes into that and why it's so bad for us.
Before you do that, let me give a formal introduction to Chef Heru. He is a raw live foods master chef. He is the master instructor for the House of Angola Raw Food Living Class program. The classes have been conducted in community centers, health food stores, restaurants, private residences, temples, and churches, basically everywhere, guys, in Washington, D.C., metropolitan area, the East Coast, and for over 8 years, with over 900 participants. He is a trained holistic wellness living counselor, electrical engineer, laboratory chemical technologist, radio talk show host, and an indigenous metaphysician. Chef Heru is the author of the published Life is Raw, Eat to Live food preparation meal guide celebrating the soul and culture of African, Caribbean, and Southern raw live foods.
One of the things I want to talk about the genetically modified foods is that whenever you consume a food in your digestive system, you remember the old saying, you are what you eat? And the problem is when you consume genetically modified foods, that you actually consume the DNA of the RNA of what was introduced into the food stuffs. So that's why it's so critically important that was Khepra talking about that we had to start eating foods from indigenous cultures, because they're ones who was actually using century-old processes, thousand-year process of agriculture. With a lot of the commercial, industrial food companies, they actually use gene splicing or try to modify some of the food properties of the food. One is to increase the shelf life, and also on a more different level is also going to be used as a means to induce certain sickness factors into the human organism. So you have the genetically modified food, but you remember there's a good side and there's an evil side, or whatever you want to talk about old folks speaking. So that's why it's also so critically important that you have to. It's always better to grow your own food stuff because you control the process, and also with the industrialization process, there's a lot of toxins that's introduced into the soil that the plants through photosynthesis absorb into the materials. So when you consume those plants, you actually consume some of the toxic elements that's like foreign to the body.
Can you talk about some of those toxic elements for those that do not know?
Like the pesticides, the herbicides, the phytoestrogens. For example, you remember like endocrine disruptors? It's really important for the sisters when you do have a child, conceive a child, that you watch what you eat, because what happened during the gestation period, when the cells are starting to divide, and what happened is that the signature of those foreign elements are actually absorbed into the cells. So that's why women who were taking the EDT back in the 60s and 70s, and children, and all of a sudden, about 30, 40, now you have this incidence of breast cancer or testicular cancer, is that the blueprint is actually started during the gestation period in the woman. Also, postnatal, when women are breastfeeding, if they are breastfeeding, and you have to watch what you eat, because through the milk, those viruses are introduced into the body. So it might take 10, 20, 30, 40 years for the disease to manifest, because as you go through the different stages of cellular development through adult life processes, at that time, those vectors start to unfold.
So that was what leaves people predisposed, as they call it.
It's predisposed, but it's been programmatically predisposed to diseases.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing, because I don't think people they don't take that seriously, that you truly are what you eat, especially when you have a child, that the food that you eat as you're pregnant is going to affect the immune system of your child as they grow. And then, as Dr. Patterson was saying earlier, then you have family diseases and things like that people say are passed on.
And also the same is true for the men too, who go through the semen, and for the sperm cells. Those entities are also introduced when it's like a laboratory. So that's why for those of us who are in the sciences, you have to become more of a social activist, because they use sciences to actually implement social policies or control certain situations over decades and periods of time.
Are food addictions becoming as serious as drug addictions? And just as a...
That's a great question. That's actually one of the questions that we wanted to talk about, food addictions, because a lot of people don't realize that they're addicted to something, to a substance. And so I'd love to hear your comments and anyone's comments on what they feel food addiction is.
Okay, I'm going to speak on that just a little bit, and then people can keep speaking on it. But absolutely, food is becoming an addiction. way back when Elijah Muhammad in the 60s wrote, "You are what you eat. You either eat to live or you eat to die." The introduction of all of these sugars and salts to our dietary supplements, to the food we eat and everything, dictates what we're going to eat. It dictates obesity. That's why we have so much obesity. It dictates illness and disease in the body. So the more things that you are consuming in your body without regulating what it is you're going to eat, or giving it a mind thought of what the food is going to do when you eat it, what's it going to do to your body when you eat it, determines whether there's going to be an addiction or not. If you're a person that's addicted to sugar, it creates almost every illness and disease in the body. Okay, forgetfulness, things like hypertension, diabetes, all of this, where you have diabetes even when you're pregnant. You get diabetes, and then you pass it on to your children. We're having all of these childhood illness and diseases are coming from the food. So when you're thinking about food and what you're going to consume and how you're going to consume, and to the brother on the end, go to your local, eat what's in season, things like that. We try to eat a lot of food that's not in season, so we do have to go to a lot of overseas or Mediterranean menus, Asian menus, Ethiopian menus, and things like that. Things that are not even locally grown. But if we use our markets, like Sister Ruby was saying, if we go over to Eastern Market, if we look at some of our growers over in, what they have a new avenue on it, Martin Luther King has a new market. If you go to some of your local co-ops, you can find food that are locally grown. They don't have all of these pesticides. You're eating what's in season. As far as getting back to your question with addiction, yes, food can be addiction. And once you touch it to the tongue, you're addicted to it. But if you try to cleanse and detox and introduce another way of eating to your diet, say about 30 days to 90 days, you can change that addiction or break that addiction.
What if you don't want to?
If you don't want to, we're about to hit that too. If your mind is addicted to bad eating, then you're not going to want to. But if you want to upgrade yourself, enlighten yourself, and become more healthy, if you want to extend the quality of life that you were given, then you may decide that you do want to change the way you're eating. You don't want to fall into the system or the standard American diet, which is the sad diet. It's geared to make you have death come upon you. There was a time we lived long, fruitful lives because we were viable people. We ate good food from the earth. We ate good food from the trees. But now we've introduced meat, and when you do introduce flesh, that's chicken, turkey, fish, pork, or beef, that's eggs, cheese, milk, butter. When you introduce that into, you also introduce death. You end earlier, so you want to reevaluate your thinking and think, do you want to eat to live or do you want to eat to die?
Can I just ask you one thing? Could you explain what happened? Because for me, it makes it more clear.
They use esters and artificial chemicals, so it mimics when you taste the food across your tongue, the taste receptors across your tongue is actually full. It gives a sense signal to the nervous system that you're eating anything is sweet, sour, or salty. And then also, it also modified. We talk about genetically modified. They also introduce like animal proteins into the food, where it actually can trick the kidneys into false filtering of the waste products and back into the body. Also, when I talk about commercialization of food, when I was a freshman in school, we had to take a course in the rhetoric of language and marketing. And basically what it shows you how through the marketing campaign they introduce artificial arguments, but they use these statements and competitively repeating the statements you said that as truth. They also use, you remember we had the athletes say milk does the body good? Mm-hmm. And you remember where you have all these athletes who were drinking milk. You remember FloJo, where she was one of the stars in that feature, and she had a tendency to overconsume milk. And what happened is her lungs got filled, and I think she had died of asthma. Mm-hmm. So you have to realize that although you might be addicted, but it also be artificially induced through psychological conditioning through the markets.
And my question is more so, I want to know, how do you find a substitute? Because chocolate is chocolate. And so, how do you find something that, because I believe chocolate does give off endorphins, it makes you
Yeah, it
feel
has
good.
the cacao. Khepra was talking about the cacao. He's a master chocolate chemist. And basically what it is that you have to recondition yourselves. It turns out, remember how your mother used to make the foods from scratch? Go back to that process of your mothers and your great grandmothers getting back into the kitchen, because the kitchen is the alchemist of the body. So you have to get back in terms of getting back into the art of science of cooking, because remember, you eat to live, you don't live to eat. And you have to get back, all of us have to get back into the process of becoming your own food connoisseur, how you prepare the foods, and study the chemistry of foods, because one of the things, since we come raised in Latin, as Martina said, is that for those who don't know, ignorance is bliss. For those who know, and for those who have the education background, that actually separates the emotion part from the actual physical needs, you really have to use your own spiritual powers to actually. What happens is that for those of us who do prayer meditation, when you get to the moment, you actually to start to receive messages, and those messages also helps you to fine tune to discern information. Because what happens is with the commercial position of the foods is constantly being bombarded by all these images. So when you see the images of food on the television screen and a print or magazine, it sets off these neurological memory cells that you get triggered to actually buy the foods. Remember Popeyes or churches? Remember you used to have a commercial back in the 80s where you said the church choir, everybody was singing in the choir, and then all of a sudden they had a scene where people would go to the church and consume chicken. The chicken with the with the fat back and the bread piece and the rice and the biscuits with the cow milk and the high sugar sodas. So you really have to pay attention to a discernment of your mental processes.
So an individual who is addicted to alcohol is a little bit different than an individual who's addicted to chocolate? Huh? I'm just asking. I would say not. You know, if someone came to me and they had an addictive disorder, I would treat them the same way. But the specifics would have to do with what they're addicted to. The behavior, the mindset is the same. So if I'm addicted to alcohol and I'm not ready to give it up yet, then I have to deal with the consequences. There's no difference. Let me explain. A person who uses heroin, cocaine, etc., they just don't die right away, do they? No. They're out there for, what, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. We correct? Yes. We see old drug addicts, old alcoholics, okay? What happens to their body? Their liver gets broken down, their kidneys get broken down, their digestive tract is off, the moisture in their body doesn't exist because all these drugs are, you know, the chemicals and all of the natural things that are in our body get eaten up because alcohol turns into what? Sugar. And sugar turns into acid, okay? Sugar turns into alcohol, alcohol turns into acid. So now we have people who are eating chocolate getting drunk. Then they get high. Or they get high, then they get drunk. So everybody in the morning is addicted to the sweet toothpaste. So the issue becomes whether or not you want to get your life together or not. So a drug addict after 30, 40 years, their liver breaks down, yes. Their kidneys break down, yes. A person who's addicted to chocolate after 20, 30 years, their kidney break down, yes. Their liver break down, yes. Diabetes, yes. You know, fungus on the toes, all through the body, and yeast, and so forth and so on. But see, what happens is a chocolate alcoholic is a little bit more classier than a liquor alcoholic. Is that what we say? You see, but that's the confusion. Because when you go into the hospital, they don't care whether you are a heroin addict or whether you're a chocolate addict. They're concerned with treating the condition. Where did it come from? So the egos, you need to get rid of. You need to recognize that an addict, if that's you, you're an addict. And individuals who are in the streets stealing and robbing folk are doing that, and you're stealing and robbing from yourself. So I've been in the field of addictions for 40 years. I've ran treatment programs for 40 years. Everybody who came in there liked chocolate. So what I'm treating them for, the heroin, the cocaine, or the chocolate? So I teach a counseling class for the last 10 or 15 years, and I teach the holistic approach to addictions and substance abuses and abuses, compulsive behavior. So I'm telling these potential counselors, you got a client that comes in that's addicted to cocaine, and they're eating a Snickers bar. What do you say to them? Duh, what do you mean? You know, people don't understand that that is a trigger, because the sugar will pump the person up like cocaine does. Y'all with me?
Yes.
Okay, so if that person gets pumped up and they begin to relate to that same cocaine high, then they're going to want to go get some more cocaine or some more candy or some more cocaine or some more alcohol or some more white pasta or some more white rice or some more white bread or all of those things that turn into sugar that will become acid and eat your body up. So you cannot make a decision, as brother was saying earlier, and some people say, well, I'm not ready to do this and I'm not ready to do this. Well, question yourself what you're in here for. Why did you come here? Did you come here just to get the information? Or did you come here to get the information to make the necessary change? They're not working for no reason. They're not working for you to come and just hear the information. They're working for you to come and make changes. Because if you don't make the changes, you will get diabetes. You will get high blood pressure. You will have digestive problems. I don't care how slim you are. You're going to have brittle hair. You see what I'm saying? Your vision is going to get blurry. You're going to have problems with your skin. The women are going to have problems with their cycle every month. So just keep eating the chocolate. Keep eating the things that you're having problems with. Outside of that, make the change, make the adjustment, and become healthy. And it's about optimal choices. So if I'm going to become a vegetarian and I still eat chicken and fish, then it's not optimal. You see what I'm saying? It is not optimal. I'm still hanging on to the chicken or fish because I'm addicted to the fish. Somebody talked earlier about the mental processes that are involved in this. You know, so again, I already gave you the map. If you attach the issue of holism with dealing with the chocolate addiction, then you're going to look at your spirit. And you're going to wonder why your spirit can't make the proper decision for your mind. And you're going to wonder why your mind can't make the proper decision for your body. And therefore your environment and your community and your household, etc. will remain the same. So if you got an addiction, you have to work on that person's spirit. You have to work on that person's mind. They don't know what them drugs is doing to them. They don't know what that chocolate is doing to them. So you got to educate them. And then they'll change their mind and say, no, I do need to change this. I ain't ready to, I do need to change it now. So then we work on that whole community, and it goes back up to the mind, to the body, to the spirit.
20 minutes a day for yourself, just to detach yourself from everything, because that's where I think you can begin to get to the core of what is it that's underneath all of the addictive behavior patterns you might have. And I'm speaking from experience because I'm an emotional eater. You know, I got my addictions. You know, and every summer I do a raw diet for 4 months. So it gives me a chance to kind of spend time, you know, outside of those addictions. But one of the things that taking time because I do it in the mornings, taking times to meditate and journal, is that you can really find out what you're eating the chocolate to, and what you're eating all of the bad things to. And you'd be surprised at how with just 20 minutes a day, or even 10 or 15 minutes a day in the mornings, just trying to assess where you are, who you are, how you feel, what kind of things you're going to be coming up with today, how you can gather your strength and your energy will make a difference in the decision as to whether you grab a chocolate bar or not.
And just to kind of go on with that, would each one of the panelists just offer their advice, their own opinion on what people can, feasible things that people can do to counteract their addictions, like Ms. Sylvia was saying and Dr. Patterson was saying? So just either your ways that you counteract your addictions, or that you deal with avoiding addictions, or just things that other people can do to do the same.
Stay away from crack dollars, I tell you.
they're just not for A. And then the Codependence Anonymous, it talks about, you know, our relationships with other people and with ourselves. There's Food Anonymous, there's an anonymous for just about anything. Price is Right, doesn't cost anything, you go, you share, and it works. It's been working since like 1950.
Absolutely. It has to do with, you know, a collaboration between people, as she talked about that concept. And it started, like she said, back in the 50s. Some alcoholics were having problems of trying to get themselves together, and they kind of got together and started to share a little room together, and one of them had to leave and go across the country. And he had this urge to use, and he got on the phone and called the other cat all the way back on the other side of the country, and that's how Narcotics Anonymous started. And they talked him down at that point. The next thing you know, now we got Narcotics Anonymous, and that's what we've done. And that's an African concept. I'll say that again. That's an African concept. That's a concept that says each one teach one, which is the concept of this organization right here. You know, each one teach one. Brother talked about as he's doing his work with the media, and that's a collaboration. We have to keep that going.
If you're not confident in the discipline, I wouldn't jump to think like you're just gonna wake up tomorrow morning and just like go vegan or just go raw. Like that just I wouldn't support that. I would support a gradual step program and trying to build up the confidence and discipline to make the diet switch that you want to make. And in between time, then try to find like other alternatives, be it vitamins or other minerals, to try to compensate for what you're not getting from eating a raw and vegan diet.
I think one of the things that I've been listening and thinking about brother's question, I mean, you know, especially being, you know, I started eating all raw food diet since 2000. And obviously, one of the things that is very major, very big in doing this lifestyle is the social. The physical actually wasn't that difficult, but I mean, we all have friends, we all have family, we have relationships, you know, with people most people who are not doing and living this lifestyle, if that's a choice of yours. The thing is that in terms of, you know, when we look at food versus drugs or drugs versus food, I mean, it's really a thin line. And we have to understand there's one of the best books that I've read is a book called Drugs Masquerading as Foods by Suzar, so S-U-Z-A-R. I definitely highly recommend that book. And really in that book, or just, you know, I work with food every day, and I understand food not just on an artistic level as a chef, but also as a science. And the thing is that anytime, you know, like chocolate, salt, sugar, all these things are not the enemy. I mean, we fat, all these things we need. We need fat, we need sugar, we need salt, we need chocolate. You know, we need these things. It's just that we need them in the right form. See, once you begin to alter, whether it's via processing, cooking, genetic alteration, it becomes a drug. So even for the cocaine, that's from a food.
That's right. Sure. That's right.
You know, the coca leaf. Right. These are what I call the forbidden foods. You know, marijuana or hemp. You know, these are food that we should be eating, but in their natural state. You know, and they don't become. See, when they're in their natural state, they have a perfect balance of energy, of water, of fiber, of enzymes. But once you cook these things, see, for anybody who, you know, whether it's smoke cigarettes, you smoke weed, you sniff, or you do, see, these are all attempts for us who, you know, we're looking to get that alkaline high. That's what that is. Because, see, when you eat and cook food, it's all acid. So when you're acidic, when somebody's yelling and screaming, they're acidic. When you're aggressive or you get agitated easily, you're just acidic. You're eating too much acidic food. Okay, so you know, you smoke that cigarette and then that's that alkaline. Now you calm. You know, so, but again, but see, these are all like, you know, these are all drugs. See, we need to eat them as food, as real food, in their natural form, as Mother Nature produced them. You know, with the sun and the earth and the rain and the, you know, when we're eating it, then it doesn't become destructive. It becomes healing. You know, and that's, you know, all of our food should come in as healing food. So again, you know, so I definitely, you know, that's a powerful book, Drugs Masquerading as Food. Definitely get that. But in terms of the and really just to finish my point, in terms of the addiction, you know, I mean, you know, it's one thing to be addicted to cigarettes, to alcohol. I mean, we're you know, most people are conscious of these choices, but to be addicted to food, that's like so accepted socially. Okay, so how do you break that? It's very, very difficult. It takes a lot of willpower. It takes education. It takes, you know, it takes basically having the support to do it.
Let me just add something. The powers that be are right on top of this. It took us 50 years to get on the cigarette pack that the cigarettes will kill you. Okay, I remember back in the 50s, yeah, that's how old I am. Back in the 50s, wasn't nothing on there, and they had commercials on TV that the doctors were doing, saying it's okay to smoke cigarettes. Call for Philip Morris, you know, we had some serious TV ads and radio ads and newspaper ads where you had doctors okaying pregnant women to smoke cigarettes. So we began to see people dying and getting all kinds of respiratory problems as it relates to cigarettes in the 50s. So they started to attack it, and they attacked it in the 60s. And then in the 70s, and they put on cigarettes may be dangerous to your health. That's it. You know, now we go through the 80s, we get to the 90s. You know, we had to take 50 years for them to put on the cigarettes. It's gonna kill you, you know. Now, the same thing is gonna happen, and it's happening with the foods. We look at the food pyramid back in the day, and it had meat 3 to 4 servings a day. Dairy, 3 to 4 servings a day. You look at it now, it says meat sparingly. That means not at all. So what happened in 1977, your President Reagan, because his show wasn't mine, I ain't voting for the boy. He decided to put together a Senate Select Subcommittee to talk about what my sister talked about, the SAD diet, the standard American diet. So he got Senator Talmadge and Senator McGovern, some of the so-called heavy hitters, and some pharmacists and some nutritionists, internationally world-known biologists, and blah, 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 blah. And they did a study in '77. The results of the study stated that in 30 years, if we continued with the standard American diet, you know, crack Donald's, Murder King, Taco Hell, Wind Disease, Pocket Lies, KFC, killing families and children. And my children came up with this in the classes. You know, I asked them, I said, what do y'all think about this food? You're talking about, oh, Wind Disease. You know, Pop Lies, you know, clockers, you know, checkers, you know, the Chinese folk, yum yum, they call it dum dums, you know. So again, these clearly are issues that we have to deal with. So we look at it now, and they got on there sparingly in terms of meat, sparingly in terms of dairy and cheese and so forth. Go check it out. At the bottom, they got soy milk on there now. They got soy milk down at the bottom. We're talking about whole grains and so forth and so on, but we know that there's really 4 food groups. And those 4 food groups, I got a little picture of it right here. You know, those 4 food groups, vegetables, whole grains, fruit, and legumes. You know, this came out from the Physicians Council of Responsible Medicine right here in Washington, D.C. They're the ones who put the advertisement in the Metro with the milk thing on the lip saying milk terrible for you. It only stayed up for a couple of months. They hurried up and got it up out of there. But here we got a condition now where they're saying that this food is healthier for us to eat nowadays. So what did they do to disguise the game with the pyramid? They came up with your food plate. Y'all seen the new food plate? It's 4 sections. Whereas the pyramid listed the food that you're eating. The food plate just say protein, fruit, vegetables, nice little colors. You know, so now they can still do what they want to do in terms of putting specific things in those sections. So it really should be what? Fruits and vegetables. Wah! That's it. Fruits and vegetables. Wah! That's it. Now I grew up eating pork chops and chitlins. Okay, so I want y'all to know that. I love pork chops and cheese. If I can eat them now, I go give me some vinegar, some hot sauce, and one of them nice old egg baked up cornbreads, and I tear it up. Pork chop and gravy. I grew up eating. I'm serious. I likes that kind of stuff. At age 13, I became an alcoholic. So at age 15, I'm running around in the street robbing people and using drugs and stuff like that. So to qualify myself is very, very easy. You see what I'm saying? Talk about the things that have to be done. But all of you all have to recognize what you all have to do and what your responsibility is to yourself. This is no plaything here. The people up here on this panel, if I can just say this quickly, that the people up here on this panel are committed. I know their work. Every day, they are committed to making sure that the information that's needed to empower the community is important. Heru is my co-host on my radio show. You know, Khepra, I send all of my clients to him and Heru for diet and nutrition. So we're all working together. We send people up to my sister's center. She's doing some great things up there. You know, so it's important for you all to recognize this movement that Dick Gregory, going all the way back to Imhotep, who is the father of medicine. It's in the Hippocratic Oath. I got a copy of the Hippocratic Oath right here. They got his name in there, some old Greek name. You know, him a black man. They keep talking about who's who and who's who. So you're all confused. So let's be clear that meat is the seed, the fruit on the vine in Scripture that they say is your meat, and that the animals is the flesh. So y'all need to flip that. They got y'all confused. Going to McDonald's eating flesh, not meat.
Can we hear from Chef Heru?
10 years ago, a friend of mine mentored, he had a program for men. And I used to go, every used to have a radio, remember you used to do stuff like Everlasting Life, Circle Tai Chi? Where you actually, they use it as a marketing scheme to get people to introduce to better eating. So, and then we was going on and off becoming vegetarian, doing the chicken and fish, you know, switch it back and forth. And then when the mentor was over there, we did the last program back in 2004. A month later, I went to vegetarian because I was with Dr. Anderson's office. And she told me that I had to lose weight because I had like a serious arch in my back, an excess weight in the knees. Also have some other health issues, so everything is interrelated. And one thing you have to realize, you have to make the change because you remember that you're here for a particular purpose, and what the purpose is whatever you came here to do. So sometimes it might get a little mystic, but remember the Bible said, let there be light. All of us are light beings, and you really have to consume the life forces of Mother Nature, which is through the vegetables and fruits and nuts and seeds. So you really have no choice. You're part of the enlightened group here. Most of the population don't have this information, and y'all are blessed to be in our presence to receive. Because when we was growing up, none of this existed. So like I came in like 20 years late after school. So y'all in your 20s, so you're right there at the critical development point in your life where you can plan for the next 40 to 50 years. So don't take the information lightly. You just have to make the change and go with it.
And like I said, I'm from
at McDonald's. I worked at Whataburger and Sonic, and I would get hamburgers for free. And and the only reason why I would stop ever was because of like only the like specific health reasons, because it's in me, and I go home, I get enchiladas.
I had a friend. She was chemical engineer working for a company out of Michigan, and she was one of. They had two friends. The first friend, she was a chemical engineer working for a company in Michigan, and one of her tasks was to actually develop the chemical solutions to preserve the French fries, as well as the additive for the McDonald's products. And she got so fed up, but she just left that industry. And then I had another friend who had a degree in food science. She's working in the Midwest, and she was responsible for some of the mechanical processes for food production. And what she found out is that a lot of these food companies are using like sand-grade products and all the polymers to produce the food, but most of the food stuff that you consume is polymers. And when she found out, she just got totally frustrated and left. So, like I said, you say you might be addicted to McDonald's, but as a process, it's a complex process that exists for the food addictions, and you really have to use your mental processes as well as your own spiritual alignment.
What is that psychological, like?
Just for time purposes, I want to hear from Dr. Washington.
stick by it. The bottom line is you are what you eat. As you become more enlightened and you become more conscious of what's going on with your body, okay, and what the body is here for and what food is here for. Food is here for nutrition. It is to give the body what it needs so that you can get the job done that needs to be done, and that's to survive, okay, and function and do whatever your purpose is here in life. When you add these different GMO type food and this chemically based food and this package based food, all of these things, you're going to get what's left over. And the byproduct is forgetfulness. It's going to affect your level of intelligence, the wisdom that you should have been born with to bring in. By our mothers eating this, we're growing up with more illness and disease, like they were touching on having an acid body. Our bodies are alkaline, and it's the reason why we're pH balanced, because when we're pH balanced through our diet and nutrition, it helps us to think better. It helps us to be more virile and revitalized. It helps everything about us. When you add meat into your body, or any type of flesh, like I said, eggs, cheese, milk, butter, chicken, turkey, fish, pork, or beef, it compromises you, okay, and your life force, your energy force, okay, mind, body, and spirit. So you have to decide and make a conscious effort to cleanse, detox the body so that it can function at its optimum health. And that's the bottom line. It doesn't matter where you come from. Okay? We all come from the womb, pretty much. That's the way it works. We all come from the womb. So it gets back to you are what you eat. You have to be conscious in your life as to what you want to do. And the type of food you eat determines the type of individual you're going to be. Okay, or you're going to be walking around here with attitudes. You can have bad problems with your relationships based on everything you put into your body reflects who you are, what you do in life, how you respond and react to things that you encounter in life. Okay, I myself, I walk around pretty calm and relaxed. I walk in, hey, people everyday people. You have to just decide what the food is all about. If you're walking around here crazy, you ever hear people say, I'm gonna wring that child's neck? You know where that comes from? From wringing the neck of the chicken. Okay? So every time you eat flesh, you put that energy into you. People walking around here with ADHD and things like that, that's a sugar imbalance. If you take that sugar out of the body, you won't be running around here crazy, doing crazy things, making crazy decisions. That's what's wrong with the government. They hooked on sugar. They make a crazy decision that we have to live by as a people. So you have to really take some responsibility for yourself as an individual of how you want to be and how you want to live. And it basically is, do you want to eat to live or you want to eat to die? I personally think I'm going to live forever. How long are you going to live? That's pretty much.
In the live processed hair, and it said that processed hair is extracted for a chemical known as amino acid to flavor food, like pizza dough, meat, and stuff like that. I wanted to know if that is a common practice, and I think they've progressed to like using chicken and duck feathers to flavor food, but that's like something that's put into the process. In your research, have you come across that? Because it's saying that it's growing in the food industry.
Sure, it's not just growing. It's been around. They put wood chips in your food. Whenever you see cellulose, that's nothing but wood chips. I mean, there's so much stuff that goes into food. You need to be real conscious about what you're eating and where it's coming from. Like Ruby was saying, have your own garden. If you live in an apartment, grow it in your windowsill. All you need is a couple pots, some soil, some seeds. Decide you want to be who it is and what it is that you're eating. Yeah, it's a lot of crazy stuff. Look at the slime burgers. Anybody heard about the slime that was in our food? We've been eating slime for a long time. Every time you eat a burger, it was slime. Just to know that is enough to make you not want to eat that West San Antonio. It's enough to make you not want to do that anymore. They was probably feeding you slime. That's why you was hooked.
I don't know if you all heard recently about the Burger King. Burger King was publicly stated that they've been feeding us horse meat.
Conversation about genetically modified foods. I was just wondering your opinions on soy and soy substitute products. I was doing some research and like I come across accounts that it's really not good for you, especially for men. It raises estrogen levels, stuff like that. So like, especially to the raw food chefs, just like what's your opinions on soy product and your?
Me personally, I'm anti-soy. Period. 100% with organic.
Why is that?
Well, the thing is that it's not a real food. It's even just from the beginning. I mean, if we look at it traditionally, let's look at it traditionally, and it started in Asia. Again, soy was used, and again, I touched on about the form. Now, you can eat soy, but only in the right form. Soy is very, very difficult to digest, number one. So the proper forms to eat soy, if you choose to eat soy, are things like miso, natto, soy sauce. Again, these are not like protein as a protein substitute. Now, the whole explosion of soy on the scene back in the 50s and 60s, most people were using, in terms of their cooking oil, they were using coconut oil and palm oil. Again, these are tropical oils that are from fruits, coconut being a fruit seed and palm being a seed that produces oil that is righteous for us, okay, even cooked. And the thing is that, again, these things had to come from tropical places of the earth. So soy was, again, much cheaper to produce. It was also can be produced locally. And the thing is that soy, the whole thing with the soy was really the oil. So anytime you buy vegetable oil, you're really just buying soy oil. Now they say 95% of the soy is genetically modified. So again, so you got to be. The thing is, what I mentioned before, fat can be your best friend or your worst poison, your worst enemy. And so when you're making a decision in terms of your oil, especially if you're cooking, you want to be using coconut oil. You want to be using extra virgin olive oil. You don't want to cook your olive oil. If you're going to cook, use your coconut oil. If you're using, things in terms of salad dressing and things, you want to be using extra virgin olive oil. Again, all of these oils are from fruits. When we have oils from quote-unquote vegetables and things of that nature, it's not even really a vegetable. So soy, just looking at it, the root, you won't find soy growing in the wild, in the forest. Soy has to be created. And the thing is that what is done in terms of what you mentioned in terms of the estrogen, and what it's become. So with the soy oil, tofu and this soy curd product was a byproduct of the oil. When they press the oil out of the bean, now you have basically waste. And they say, well, let's not throw this out, which is it should have been discarded. Let's market it as a health food. And so for all of the vegans and the vegetarians who are eating lots of soy, and I call that really just the soy. A lot of what can happen if you want to make that transition into vegetarianism. The trap that's waiting for the vegan and vegetarian is the soy starter diet. Because what they do is they give up the meat and they replace it with just basically a bunch of pasta, a bunch of noodles, a bunch of rice, and then they got the soy. You go to your vegetarian restaurant, and you just get a bunch of starch and soy. And you're like, yeah, I'm eating healthy.
Just for time purposes, I wanted to, one of our panelists will have to step out soon, but I wanted Dr. Washington to kind of touch on what reflexology is, if you could.
Okay. Reflexology is an art or healing modality of touch therapy where you hit different trigger or reflex points in the body to invoke different responses. A lot of us use reflexology, and it can be done on either your ears, your hands, or your feet. A lot of foot reflexology you'll find here. A lot of people just massaging the foot. But when you're doing true reflexology to the foot, you're touching different trigger or reflex points, like I stated, that invoke different responses for healing in the body when you do reflexology. A couple things I was asked to touch on is reflexology as a science and a healing modality, and also reflexology as a sexual modality. They kind of both go together, except one is if there's the presence of some illness or disease to the body, and one is more for relationship-wise reflexology, meaning you can hit different trigger points in the body to invoke different sexual responses in the body. So reflexology can be used in both as a healing modality and as a sexual energy modality. And both, put the two together, you both have to function with reflexology through touch therapy with the mind, body, and spirit. You can't separate it. A lot of us try to do when we're thinking of healing of the body, but the body can't be separated from the mind or the spirit or the breath of the body. You need to put them all together in order for us to function wholly. So when you're talking about the art of reflexology, you're talking about healing the body as a whole. And when the body comes together as a whole, men and women are able to function better in relationships. They're able to function better towards each other, just individually, day to day. Saying, good morning, brother, how you doing? Or good morning, sister. What I noticed is a lot of people, when I was walking here on this campus, don't speak to each other. And that was very interesting to me. And I was saying, a lot of people need to detox and cleanse and start working on self. Like Michael Jackson said, you want to look at the man in the mirror. You want to start looking at yourself as a mind, body, and spirit, and that what you do and how you react to your environment affects other people. Just giving love today when I walked in, I'm a hugger. I don't shake hands or anything like that because I want to feel your energy, and the energy comes through touch. So everybody I met today might have thought I was a little strange because, wow, that woman just want to hug me. She doesn't know me, but I do know you. I know your energy. I know your spirit. I know you as a man, and I know you as a woman because we both exist as men and women inside of each other. You think you're all women, but you're part man too. Okay? And when you're dealing with reflexology, you fall into a little Taoist, and the way Taoists think, and they think that the energy, both the yin and yang energy, the yang of the man and the yin of the woman, if you see it, it comes together. That's why women, we're receivers. That's why we have vaginas, so we can receive a man's energy. And when he gives us or he enters into us, we become together as a whole. And that's how the body functions with reflexology, the mind, body, and spirit as a whole coming together, bringing one energy together. Okay, and when you bring that energy together properly, as it should be, you become very powerful. That's why you can't have the yin without the yin, the man without the woman. And that's what reflexology is all about, and sexual reflexology. I have to break it down to a quick nutshell, so I hope everybody received that. If you want to receive more, you can come by my office and talk to me.
Things that people can do to incorporate reflexology into their daily lives. Like I know, maybe in terms of a hand massage, or just to get a general feeling, say for stress, to relieve some sort of stress.
Basically, something you can do yourself, and that's to put the two hands together like so, and you can massage here, and you can breathe, and that way you can heal yourself. Breathing all by itself is a modality where you can learn to heal yourself, bring down your tension if you're having high blood pressure, to calm yourself, to bring in and evoke a certain energy if you want. And this is easy with everyday living. If you don't have 20 minutes to give up in the morning to relax and meditate and breathe, give up 5 minutes before you even jump out to bed and put the foot to the floor. You can inhale all the way down to the abdomen and then exhale it out at the same count. This will relax you, it'll put you in a better frame of mind so that once that foot, you're feeling good, like, wow, I didn't just breathe life into my body. I didn't just breathe energy into my body. I'm ready for the world, I can do anything. So that's just a quick way of adding something into the body that you don't have to plan for. You can just wake up and breathe life back into your body. And it's all about the way you breathe it in. You want to breathe it all the way down, bringing out the abdomen, and then exhaling it out, making the abdomen go in, and just exhaling it out through the mouth. So try that sometimes. Try to breathe it all the way in. Breathe in that abdomen, making that stomach come on out. Then you're exhaling any negative or energy that you don't want. You're blowing it straight out. So you can do that 2 or 3 times real quick in the morning, breathing all that life force, good lightning energy into you, and exhaling anything that may have troubled you through the night, may have creeped into your mind. For those that fall asleep with the television on, all those creepy things that enter in your night, you're wondering why you wake up distraught in the mornings because you had all that energy going on all night long that wasn't even part of your life. So cut the televisions off, people, and just go to sleep. And that way you can wake up at peace, you can breathe that energy in, and that's how you can bring it into your life. Take about 5 minutes in the morning, just breathe that good energy in, and exhale anything negative that may have gone on through the night. So that's what you can do, Ms. Ruby.
Thank you so much. But we will get to that in a little bit. I just wanted to, I know, Khepra, that you do a coconut detox on your website, and I just wanted you to explain a little bit of information about the coconut detox and about detoxing in general and using juices as a detox.
Okay. Yes. Well, just in terms of detoxification, detox, it's becoming popular, and that's a good thing. The thing is that the body is always detoxing, or healing, I should say. And the thing is that when we understand, when we really start to get into the body and the natural rhythm or the natural cycle of the body, this is why we go to sleep every night. It's programmed, it's wired into the daily cycle that we go to sleep. So we're actually going into fast. We're not eating, we're on the breath. You're at complete relaxation, or at least you should be, and your body is healing. So the thing is that what we do with the juice fast is really look to sort of take that process a step further. The body, if you're eating 2 and 3 meals a day with snacks and whatever, your body is digesting around the clock 24/7. There's no muscle that you can work. Again, even your arms and legs and things of that nature, they need a rest, so that you lay down and rest. When does your digestive system ever get a rest? And the thing is that with juices, because you say, well, you can fast with water, or you can just be on the breath. The thing with juices is that it really gives, for most people, a lot of us are really toxic. We've been eating every day since the beginning. And the thing is that it's not until your body throws some sort of crisis at you where you lose your appetite. It's like basically telling you, fast so I can heal. Because the body is a self-healing organism. Okay? That's the only real healing that can take place. There's nothing outside of you that you can take or you can do that's going to heal you. It all happens within. It's only when we stop and we stop eating that we can begin to heal. So juices really provide a good balance. Water or going on the breath is really extreme for most people. So doing juices where you're getting basically, well, I'll get into the coconut in a minute, but in terms of, most of us can identify with just fruit juice or vegetable juice. We're getting something in a liquid form, and you're getting basically everything you need. You're getting vitamins, you're getting minerals, you're getting just basically just, I mean, anything, in terms of if you were eating the physical food, you're getting it in a liquid form. So therefore, it's giving your digestive system a rest, okay? There's very little energy that the body has to use to process the juice. So it's really, also, you get the best of both worlds. So by getting what you need nutritionally, it gives you energy to do everything you do normally in a day. I mean, the people who fast with me, I tell them to go to work out, to do everything you do. As a matter of fact, you may even have more energy. Okay, you may even have to sleep less. You definitely will wake up easier. So it's really a maintenance. Just like, if some of you have cars, you have their scheduled maintenance. You got that oil change every quarter, every 3,000 miles. You got, I mean, if even in your house, you have to clean on a regular basis, or else things will quickly go into whack. It's the same thing in the body. The body can only cleanse. If we had to bring in this room, if we had to bring in, let's say we wanted to bring in all new chairs, we can't bring in the new chairs until we get rid of the old chairs. And that's the way the body works. You cannot, you have to flush out the old. So the juice is superior to just a water fast, because the juice is coming with not only the water, but the actual essence, the flavors, whether it's the sour or the sweet. That's the detergent. Okay, so it's bringing in, just like you wash the dishes. You can't just wash with water. You need detergent. You need a little elbow grease. You need these things, and that's the same thing. When we're bringing in fresh juices, we're bringing in life, as Mother Nature produced it, and it's allowing for real healing to take place. So, your elimination in terms of your urination is definitely on the increase. You may have, the body may actually produce nausea or vomiting or diarrhea. Again, it's opening up the channels. And by fasting on juice, it allows the body to naturally start to do these things itself. Okay, so that's the whole thing with detoxification. And lastly, just to finish up with the coconut water, that's really the icing on the cake, because the coconut water is a water. Now, this water has been processed. And of course, if we take coconut water, if we drink this water, it's gonna flush us in one way, but coconut water is gonna go into your intestines and produce a bowel movement. So it's a whole food as a water. So it has that magical duality, being, something that, again, Mother Nature, a lot of coconut trees, any of you ever seen coconut, the best coconuts grow next to the ocean or to the salt water. Okay, so they're pulling that salt water, from the ocean, filtering it through the coconut palm, and producing a water that is, originally the salt water, where it has all the minerals and the salts and things, but again, it's not in the form that we can drink. But it's putting it into a perfect form, perfect for the body. They say, the coconut water is just about identical to our blood plasma. So, they were using it as IVs in, some of the world wars that were in tropical regions. So this thing is basically just like a human blood. So when we're drinking coconut water, we're literally replacing our own blood. And so the thing is that it's whole, it's tasty, it's filling, it's really the best thing to fast. You can just fast just on the coconut water. They say you can drink coconut water and live for like 6 months, or probably longer, just on the coconut water. So that's what I do is very unique. Actually, wasn't mentioned, but I do have a book, and it's actually on this whole process that I'm speaking on now, in terms of really using the coconut water as a foundation for a fast. So it's really, so what I tell people is this is a maintenance program. This is prevention. This is what you do so that you can basically prevent all the things that's waiting for you down the road that the whole health sick industry has, you know, in terms of the drugs and the hospital and the surgeries and all that stuff. You know, there's no way around it. You know, you do this or this is this other thing over here in terms of, you know, so, you know, you have to make sure you paying your health insurance and all that stuff because you're gonna need it, you know, at some point, unless, you know, you be proactive and while you're healthy. And the thing is that too, it's an enjoyable process. It's not like, you know, when I talked about food being drug or drug being food, you know, we can enjoy all the things that we crave. You know, it's only that we have to be conscious and get them in the best form. You know, so we can enjoy the chocolate, we can enjoy the fat, we can enjoy the protein that our body is naturally craving. But we have to be conscious, we have to educate ourselves, we have to take the extra steps in order to, you know, have these foods in the best possible form.
Thank you.
Herbs and spices is part of the mechanism for healing. For how many people are from the West Indies or from Caribbean? Remember, you used to use a lot of curry, but it has turmeric in it, which is a good anti-inflammation for cancer. You have the garlic, which is good for, it has the sulfur as a cleansing compound for cancer cells. Then you have like for the tomatoes, you have the acid tomatoes, which is also good for the prostate issues. And then you have all the nuts and seeds that has a lot of the zinc, the calcium, the phosphorus, magnesium. One of the things you have to realize that our ancient ancestors, they were natural chemists, and they were in tune with the forces of nature. And a lot of the minerals or the elements that they remember studying chemistry with the DNA, with the calcium, the hydrogen, the oxygen cells, in the atoms, all those are present in Mother Nature because when the plants are since plants cannot move, it has to take elements using the physical property, the elements that actually maintain their structural integrity as well as to be immune for diseases. So when you consume a lot of herbs, it's like an affinity. So that's why, since most of y'all are here, use the resources at Harvard University with the pharmacology school, the biochemistry, because a lot of our ancient secrets are in those books. And get books that was written back was a Walker. They have a lot of books that was written back by Norman Walker. Books that were written back in the 1950s or 40s that actually talks about the medicinal properties of herbs. Another one is Dr. Kwaku Amdow. He's one of the foremost ethnobotanists. He's out of Guyana, and he actually has a whole encyclopedia of different herbs from Africa with the healing properties. How many people have heard of moringa? Moringa is grown on the West Coast. It's a green leafy vegetable. It has one of the highest sources of vitamins and minerals complex. How many of y'all know about sea moss from Jamaica? That's a sea vegetable that has like over 118 vitamins and minerals. So a lot of the foods that our parents or grandparents used to consume for us, make for us, a lot of those had healing properties. You remember sometimes when your mother, you put the garlic and the onion, she stir fry it or bake it in the oven, you smell the aroma. Those smells that you smell, those are actually some of the vitamin minerals that is airborne. So if you just go back in terms of those reflective memory moments when you was in your kitchen with your mother and father cooking.